I played every Valve game and ranked them. That includes all single-player, multiplayer, tech demos, and even the VR games that Valve has made. I also added some games that aren't technically made by Valve, but are associated with Valve. Half-Life Opposing Force and Half-Life Blue Shift were commissioned by Valve. Garry's Mod because it uses Source Engine, and Black Mesa because it's my list. I don't want to waste any time here, so let's just get right into it. Number 34. Artifact is a card game based on Dota, released in 2018, and from the moment it was unveiled, people were a bit disappointed. But that was before the game was even launched. It can't be that bad, right? Well, my friend, I got news for you. It's pretty bad. It's an overly complicated card game that isn't that fun at all. It's boring. I barely understand the rules. I mean, I'm halfway through the tutorial and I already forgot how to play the game. And what did Valve do when their game flopped? They released the exact same game again! Artifact Foundry attempts to make the original game better, but by the time it came out, no one cared! There's a total of like 20 people who play this game because it sucks. I don't know what Valve expected to happen. Anyways, on to the next game. Number 33. Artifact Classic is bad for all the reasons I just listed. I mean, it's the same game as Artifact Foundry. The only reason it's ranked higher is because at least there's a slight reason for its existence. But I really have no more to say about this stupid card game. I mean, I barely understand the rules in the first place. So let's just move on to the next game in the list. Number 32. There is one player on this server. I'm gonna ruin his experience.
You're gonna crash his game, probably.
Yeah.
Good try to fix it.
Well, I have to start again so I can see the error message.
There's some male model missing.
I would just verify files once to see that big. It can't be that big.
Yeah, let me just Google the crash. Ricochet is an experience, to say the least. It's a game made in Golden Source Engine where you have 3 discs, and your goal is to throw your disc in order to knock people off the map. There's another type of disc that instantly kills people, but you only throw one at a time. The great thing about this game is that you can't aim up or down, you can only throw the disc directly in front of you. You also can't jump, you have to fling yourself off the launch pad scattered across the map in order to get to the other launch pads. And it's really easy to just air strafe around and get on the side rails by accident. Also, this game has to play a 5-second long death animation every single freaking time you die. There's no active players in this game, just bots, and that's because there's really no reason to play it. And just one more thing. If you have HD textures enabled on Half-Life, the game instantly crashes. I spent like 15 minutes of my time just to get this stupid game to work because I didn't realize that's what was crashing. I kept on getting the same error message over and over again. Anyways, let's just move on to the next game. Number 31. Dota Underlords is an auto-battler game that was created with mobile devices in mind. That probably gives you a hint at what the quality of this game is. This game consists of placing your characters, or heroes, on a grid and then watching them fight. The game was supposed to be a recreation of a fan mod called Dota Chess, and to be honest, after playing this, I think I'd rather just go play chess. So that's exactly what I did. Oh yeah, Dota Underlords. The game is honestly just boring. You place down your heroes and hope you win, and that's pretty much the game. You can increase or decrease your chances of winning depending on what strategy you use, but at the end of the day, the game just isn't appealing to me. I don't know. Next game! Number 30. Counter-Strike Condition Zero isn't necessarily a bad game. I mean, it's Counter-Strike. Counter-Strike is pretty fun. The terrorists are trying to plant the bomb, the counter-terrorists are trying to defuse the bomb, and both teams are trying to shoot each other. The problem with this game is that it came at an awful time. The game was the last game Valve made in the Golden Source engine, and it was originally meant to release in 2002. But this game had a rocky development to say the least. The game was originally being made by Gearbox Studios, the same people who made Half-Life Opposing Force and Half-Life Blue Shift. Then they missed the deadline, so it was given to Ritual, who started making a single-player mode. The game was then set to release in 2003, with Turtle Rock Studios making the secondary multiplayer mode for the game, while Ritual made the single-player. Then Valve sent the game off to be reviewed, and no one liked the single-player. So Valve just scrapped all of Ritual's work, and finished the multiplayer mode that Turtle Rock Studios made, added their own single-player mode. Basically, the single-player mode is just playing Counter-Strike, but with bots. And really, that's all the multiplayer mode is as well now. The game finally got released in 2004, and then a bit later, Valve released Counter-Strike Source, and everyone went to go play that game instead. Like I said, this game isn't bad, it just released at a bad time due to its rocky development, and there has never really been a reason to play this over another Counter-Strike game. On to the next game. Number 29. Half-Life Source is a port of Half-Life from Golden Source to the better Source engine. This sounds good in concept, but this game is a bit broken. What?
Oh.
Zach?
Oh, that's Source clipping out of bounds. I've had that happen in Portal. Oh, not that though.
I think the picture of the scientist in the chair I keep seeing everywhere is a great example of how buggy this game is. I mean, the bugs don't necessarily keep you from playing the game, though. I was still able to do a full playthrough of Half-Life, and Half-Life is a pretty good game. I'll talk about more later. The problem I have with this game is people new to the Half-Life franchise will most likely assume that this is the definitive version of Half-Life, and then probably assume the rest of the series looks like this. I will say though, they did fix this one bug from Half-Life. Oh, they put a wall here. Or at least they slightly fixed it. At the end of the day, this isn't a bad game. It's just the worst way of playing a good game. On to the next one. Number 28. Team Fortress Classic was the first Team Fortress game made in the Golden Source engine, and it looks nothing like its cartoony counterpart. The game features 2 teams and 9 classes that the player can play. There are different game modes for this game, but really what matters is finishing the objective before the other team, and shooting people. This game is decently fun. I like the different classes, that's a cool concept. But the concepts here just don't feel fully realized. The game feels more like a Half-Life mod than an actual game, and that's essentially what it is. Also, it hasn't really aged too well. I still had fun with it, and had fun playing all the different classes. But I just don't think this is a game I would ever go back to. I had a lot more fun with some of the other Valve games. Anyways, on to the next one. Number 27. Deathmatch Classic is essentially just Quake, but made in Golden Source. Which is also just Quake. It's an arena shooter. You spawn in, grab guns, and try to get as many kills as you can. Not much else to it. This is similar to Team Fortress Classic for me, where I had a bit of fun, but I don't really see myself ever going back to it. Like I said, the game is incredibly simple, and I really don't have much else to say about it. So let's just move on. Number 26. I don't like Dota 2, but I can respect it. I mean, it has this many players, how can it be too bad? The game consists of teams of players using heroes to attack and destroy each other's bases. The problem I have with this game is that I have the brain capacity of a frickin' gerbil. And they're not very smart. I don't care enough to do a several hour-long tutorial in order to learn how like all 100 characters work. The game itself isn't necessarily bad, I just don't feel like spending the time to learn all the intricacies of it. But hey, if you're one of these thousands of people, more power to you, I guess. Just not my game. On to the next one. Number 25. Okay, there's really no reason to play Left 4 Dead 1. Just play the second one. The game consists of you and 3 other people fighting against zombies using guns. You go through these maps, the zombies spawn, you shoot them, not much else to add. The second one is better. I'll talk more about the game when I get to the sequel. Number 24. Oh hey, we're at the sequel now. Okay, roll the music back. This is where people start clowning on me in the comments. I just don't like this game. I really find it too fun. I really liked zombie games because it's just mindlessly killing AI most of the time. I mean, I'll give this game this much, it has some pretty good AI, but still I like shooting at sentient players and something like Counter-Strike more than I like shooting at zombies. More game modes in this game than the first one, and it probably has a ton of replayability than the first game. I mean, I've heard this game is a huge modding community. I just don't like the gameplay too much to begin with, so I'm not ever really gonna come back to this game. Side note, someone bought this game for me like in 2020. This is my first time playing it, so that was kind of funny. Anyways, on to the next game. Number 23. The Lab is a VR game that is a collection of other minigames, so here's my ranking of all 8 minigames in the lab. Number 8, Secret Shop. I didn't understand what was going on and I hate Dota 2. Also, I didn't have enough space in my room to explore this entire area. Number 7, Human Medical Scan. This game creeped me out because that has a near perfect wireframe of my body. Number 6, Robot Repair. To be honest, I don't remember much about this game. But I don't remember it being bad. Number 5, Postcards. This game lets you travel to a random place from a postcard. It was cool, but the textures were a bit low quality at times. Also, I'm a gamer, I can't legally touch grass, even virtual grass. Number 4, Solar Systems. It's just a 2-scale solar system, but you can pick up and interact with the planet, so I immediately located Earth and sent it hurtling into the sun and got a ton of joy out of it, like the sadistic person I probably can. Number 3, Slingshot. It's Angry Birds, and destroying stuff is fun. I had fun. Number 2, Vortex was an actually pretty fun arcade game that was pretty stressful. You drag around this ship in order to shoot the other alien ships shooting at you. It's a VR bullet hell. Number 1, Longbow. You use a bow in order to shoot at the people invading. I recognize this game from VR YouTube videos from like 2017. Pretty fun, but the bow is a bit finicky, probably because I was using a Rift S and not the intended HTC Vive. Anyway, on to the next game. Number 22. Aperture Hand Lab was a tech demo made for the Valve Index. This game was used to test VR hand controls, and you get to talk to these robots to have you do different things with your hands. Man, I should phrase that better. Also, this robot pulls a gun on you, and I find that hilarious. Not much else to add, it's Aperture Science Lab, there's humor. Pretty decent. Next game. Number 21. Aperture Desktop is a game that was meant to show off the Steam Deck. I don't have a Steam Deck. But my friend David does. He let me play the entire game on his Steam Deck. And then I went back and played the game again on my PC so I could record it. Anyways, the game is pretty fun. You play as a guy at a desk while this robot tells you different things you need to do. The robot ends up making a toilet turret, then helps you break the entire facility. Then he frames you for it, you go to prison, you get out, you try to go to Cave Johnson, you get ambushed by sentient Triers, and then meet Cave Johnson, who is a big head, and then murder him. The end. Pretty fun story and good showcase in the Steam Deck. Number 20. Half-Life 2 Lost Coast is a Half-Life 2 level made in an updated Source Engine in order to better show how the Source Engine can handle HDR textures. There's a PC benchmark in this game that I absolutely destroyed with the power of a modern gaming PC. I made sure to send my results to Valve just in case they need them. They probably don't, but who knows. The level itself is pretty fun. It just feels like a Half-Life 2 section, and Half-Life 2 is pretty fun, so this is pretty fun. A cool thing that this game introduced was developer commentary, which introduces little speech bubbles that when you click on them will play an audio file of a developer explaining the design of the game. And this was later implemented into future Valve games as well. Pretty cool feature. Anyways, on to the next game. Number 19. Alien Swarm is a top-down shooter that is free and multiplayer only. This and Ricochet were the only two Valve games I had never heard of before this, and honestly I enjoyed this one more than I thought I would. It was just a fun, mindless top-down shooter that was fun to enjoy with a friend, and not much else to say about it. On to the next one. Number 18. Half-Life Blue Shift was the second Half-Life expansion made by Gearbox Studios, where you play as Barney the security guard during the Black Mesa incident. This game was fun and all, but it was a bit slow-paced at times, and the AI was kinda awful sometimes. There was a whole section where this guy had to follow you and he just couldn't move half the time. And the story was a bit bad. I mean, the game isn't bad overall, it's just a very average single-player shooter. Nothing good, nothing bad, just average. Also, look, it's Gordon Freeman. That's cool. On to the next one. Number 17. I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this one, but I don't enjoy Garry's Mod that much. The game sounds great. Infinite possibilities means infinite fun, but whenever I play this game, I feel like I just end up downloading a bunch of mods, have a bit of fun for like half an hour, and then get bored, and I have to wait for more mods to download when I try to join a different server or something. Some people love this game though, and like have thousands of hours on it. And if you're one of these people, good for you. It's just not for me, I guess. Next game. Number 16. Day of Defeat was honestly a lot of fun. It's a game set in World War II that has teams battle each other using different classes. The objective is usually capture the flag, but there are a ton of different game modes you can play. I honestly enjoyed all the classes this game had, and the gunplay felt pretty good. The only problem with this game is the lack of a player base, but I could see myself playing this quite a bit if I could go back to it when it first came out. Anyways, on to the next game. Number 15. A classic game that revolutionized multiplayer first-person shooter games. Team-based gameplay revolved around one team trying to plant the bomb and the other team trying to stop them. What started off as this Half-Life mod was so good that Valve bought it and distributed it themselves. Really, I have no critique for this game. The only reason it's ranked this low is because there are two other games in this series that have more active players that you could play instead of this. If this game was still active, it would be much higher on the list, to be honest. Next game. Number 14. Day of Defeat Source is a really good game. I mean, it's pretty much the same game as Day of Defeat. It was just upgraded to a better Source engine. And I wish Valve would make a third entry to the series, because everything here just works. And it's one of the best World War II shooter games I've played. The gunplay is good. I mean, all the classes are good. Like, everything is good here. It's just the player base is not there anymore. This game came out like over 15 years ago. I mean, there's not much else to add. I wish I could play this game more, to be honest, with more players. Next game. Number 13. Okay, so Black Mesa technically isn't a Valve game. It's a fan-made remake of Half-Life 1 that is so good that Valve gave them permission to publish it. The game is a lot of fun, but if I want to play through Half-Life again, I would probably choose the original over this. The team completely redid Zen, and while the new levels are fun, by the time I completed the game, I had been in Zen so long that I was just sick of it. The new content just started to get tedious after a while, and I honestly did have too many problems with Zen in the first game. Other than that, this was a great remake and definitely worth playing at least once. On to the next game. Number 12. Half-Life Opposing Force was an expansion for Half-Life that came out pretty quickly after the original game launched. Here you play as Adrian Shepard, who got stranded at Black Mesa during the whole head crab incident. I enjoyed this more than Blue Ship because all the new content added here. There's new weapons like the LMG and the sniper that are a ton of fun, and there's new enemies to use them on, and a half-decent final boss as well. All in all, a good add-on to Half-Life. Next game. Number 11. Counter-Strike Source was a sequel for Counter-Strike and the first game released that uses Valve's new Source engine. The game was, and still is, insanely popular, and some consider it to be the best Counter-Strike game ever made. The overall formula is still the same. 2 teams, 1 bomb, etc. All Valve had to do was update the engine to make this amazing sequel. Next game. Number 10. Okay, the fact that TF2 still has an active player base over 15 years later after its launch should tell you how good of a game this is. It's a fun, cartoony, team-based shooter that has you constantly in the action. You can play whatever class fits your playstyle, and just have a great time playing this game. Also, all the characters in this game have great design, distinct personalities, and they're all over the internet because of how just great they are.
Think fast, Chuckle Nuts!
You got to pull the pin first, stupid!
You wouldn't know how to throw a grenade if your mother taught you. Return to sender!
You're doing it all wrong, laddie. Here, let me show you how a real man does it.
The healing is not as rewarding as the hurting.
And another thing, you're ugly.
On to the next game. Number 9. I did not expect to have this much fun with Half-Life 2 Deathmatch. The game is an arena shooter where the goal is just to kill as many players as you can and stay alive as long as possible. The game kind of reminded me of Call of Duty in a way. Free for all. The game is super fast paced, and I was having fun the entire time I played it. I have nothing more to say. It's just a really fun game that I really enjoyed. Next game. Number 8. CSGO, in my opinion, is the best way to play Counter-Strike. At least until CSGO 2 comes out. But I can't be barred to wait until it releases to make this video. If you ignore the awful skin market and the thousands of people's gambling addictions and the people paying $10,000 for one digital item, just ignore the entire skin market. The core game here is great. Still the same game at its core, just with updated matchmaking and visuals and other small changes. This game constantly has thousands of people playing it, and with how addicting the gameplay is, it's easy to see why. On to the next game. Number 7. Half-Life 2 Episode 1 was part 1 of the 3-part sequel to Half-Life 2. The third part still hasn't released, but we don't talk about that. This game is short, but fairly decent. It would be higher up if it weren't for this long part of the game spent in the dark sewer that I didn't really like that much. But the best part of this game was probably being overpowered in the beginning and just dealing with the stalkers in the Citadel and just destroying everything. Overall, this game is fun, but it's not that high up as it mainly is just here to set up exposition for the rest of the Half-Life story. Anyways, on to the next one. Number 6. Half-Life was the first game Valve ever released, and it revolutionized the first-person shooter genre, showing that shooter games could have an actual story to them. This game is a ton of fun, and the only issues I have with it is the dated visuals of the game, and the entire on a rail section of the game. I hate that section. Other than that, this game is a super fun shooter to run through and has great level design and so many memorable moments, like launching the rocket, killing the alien by nuking it, and killing the final boss and encountering G-Man for the first time. Just a classic game, and definitely worth playing. On to the next one. Number 5. Half-Life 2 Episode 2 is really good. I love that the game starts with you having to save Alex because the whole antlion section of the game with the Voragons is great. And then once you finally save her, G-Man's speech is amazing, getting to White Forest was fun, the story at White Forest is great, the whole Borealis referencing Portal is cool, killing those stupid Strider things was fun, and the game ends on an amazing cliffhanger, which just makes me want to play the next game that Valve never released. I'm still mad about that. Just next game. Number 4. I have played through Portal so many times. This game is a small hour-long puzzle game that was made to be bundled with TF2 and Half-Life 2 in the orange box. The puzzles here are great, and the portal mechanic here is one of the most unique things I've ever seen in a video game. The cake is a lie is a classic line from this game, and the entire escape sequence after you figure out the cake is a lie is amazing, because you finally get to escape out of the bubble you've been trapped in, and finally encountering GLaDOS at the end and killing her is satisfying every time. I just love this game, and anyways, on to the next one. Number 3. Half-Life 2 is one of the best shooters ever made. The entire game was revolutionary at its release with its insane physics engine, and even today, playing with the gravity gun is still a ton of fun. The game has a great story, great combat, amazing level design, and the end with G-Man is just as confusing as the beginning with the game with G-Man. The world design here is also amazing, with the player having to figure out what happened in the past 20 years just using subtle context clues. Truly an amazing game. On to the next. Number 2. Portal 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. This game has the best writing ever, from Wheatley being an idiot and taking over the facility, GLaDOS being overly sarcastic the entire time towards the player, and J.K. Simmons yelling at everybody about lemons as Cave Johnson. The puzzles are well designed, the game never gets boring, and the part where he kills you is still my favorite part of any video game. Also, if you're like me and you have played single player too much in this game, there's an entire co-op campaign you can play with a friend. And I'm just gonna end this by showing clips of the great dialogue in this game.
Alright, so that last test was seriously disappointing. Apparently, being civil isn't motivating you, so let's try her way, alright? Fatty, adopted Fatty, Fatty, no parents.
Next game. Number 1. Half-Life Alyx is the best VR game ever made, and it's not even close. The gravity glove is genius, and it allows players to pick up objects without having to tediously walk over to something, bend down, and pick it up. The game has great atmosphere, simple but effective gun mechanics, and it's just overall a ton of fun. Also, the section with Jeff the zombie that can instantly kill you but can't see you is the most fun I've had in a video game in a while. Going through this section nerve-wrackingly trying not to make a sound while you distract the zombie at all times so he doesn't kill you is amazing and terrifying. And the part where you're literally 3 feet away from him is just... I don't even have words. I don't like what this game does to the Half-Life plot with G-Man, being able to time travel and everything, but overall, one of the best games I've ever played gameplay-wise. And that's it. if anyone actually made it this far, I would just like to say thanks for actually watching this. This project has taken me way too long to make. I started this back in March, and I've been putting off editing this for a while now. And mainly I just made this so I'd have something to do and I could actually edit something. And it's been a pretty fun project, and I'm glad it's finally over. I might actually like make another video eventually, like in half a year. But until then, I got other stuff you can maybe watch, maybe. Please. I need views. Watch the game show video, that one's pretty good. Anyways, let's just roll like some end screen here, and now.